asked for his electronic devices. Two sources familiar with the matter say the mayor turned over 2 cell phones and an iPad, and later turned over additional electronic devices. The mayor issued a statement saying he's done nothing wrong. As a former member of law enforcement, I expect all members of my staff to follow the law and fully cooperate with any sort of investigation, and I will continue to do exactly that. I have nothing to hide. The search warrant for the mayor's phones comes after the FBI searched the Crown Heights home of top campaign fundraiser Brianna Suggs. Investigators, in part, looking into possible campaign donations tied to a construction firm KSK and its ties to Turkey. A source familiar with the matter says late last week it was the mayor and his lawyers who turned over information about additional wrongdoing separate and apart from the campaign finance investigation. One of the mayor's lawyers says it was discovered that an individual had recently acted improperly. In the spirit of transparency and cooperation, this behavior was immediately and proactively reported to investigators. Officials not saying what the additional wrongdoing might be, but they say it is separate from the questions of whether foreign money from Turkey was improperly donated to the mayor's election campaign. Officials familiar with the matter say the FBI was perhaps going to seek the mayor's phone Sunday during his appearance at the marathon, but the search executed on Monday as he was with his security detail near NYU as he was about to enter his SUV. Earlier this week, the mayor was asked about the criminal investigation.
I would be shocked if someone states that our campaign coordinated in illegal behavior.
No criminal charges have been filed by the feds as this investigation is ongoing.
But again, when you start talking about getting money from foreign sources impacting elections, that is not something that they play about, and it is indeed a criminal investigation.
Yeah, and I think Joy is right to remind us that we need to, hold off until there's concrete evidence of wrongdoing, right? This is purely investigative at this point as far as we know. So, we can't pass judgment on whether he did something wrong or didn't do something wrong. But I will say that, it's nonetheless concerning. And I'll say the problem a lot of times with law enforcement is that they don't necessarily have clarity on charges, but it's very easy for them to bring charges. So the concern a lot of times is just the appearance of impropriety, because you're not even defending real substantive charges yet. You're just a part of an investigation. And that alone is concerning, because if they find anything that they want to try to make hay of, there's not anything that really stops them from that, particularly when they've gotten entree to those devices through a judge's warrant. So, if there's information that exonerates him, I hope that's the case. But it is concerning that he would be a part of this investigation, because the feds don't play. And if they go get a warrant and a judge gives it to them, that's because they believe they have something that may be found in those phones.
Matt, if you're worked on that campaign, what would you be advising all those folks to be doing right now?
Well, first, I'd be making sure I had representation if I had reason to believe I might be part of that probe. But what I would be advising them to do is not making any statements about anything. I know one of the statements he made is that he's law enforcement and he'll cooperate. And while I like that in theory, the unfortunate reality is if they're coming for you, you need to make sure you're protected. So I would be advising people not to delete evidence, not to delete any information, but also not to make any statements, and absolutely not to talk to law enforcement without counsel there, because the problem is, if you're not being Mirandized, if you're not in custody, they don't have to give you warnings. They can start asking.
I wanted to get out, but they threatened to kill my mother.
Who are you talking about, Mr. Brown? What they?
They. Look at it. Kareem Akbar. That's right, the educated brother from the bank. He's the real head of the CMB, the brains behind the whole thing. I told you, this thing is bigger than Nino Brown, and I got a list of people. If I'm going down, I'm taking a whole lot of people with me.
Order in the court. Order in the court.